Ignore intelligence inside. We bid our fears declare a war, and with the blood that surely follows, we're guilty of so much more. So set aside your wounded ego, let your sunlight shine down through, so you can cast away the shadows and in your mind make something pure.
Welcome back to Aquarian Rising. This is my first video not filtered through ChatGPT. Normally, I make my videos using ChatGPT as an objective filter so that the ideas presented are coming from a source other than myself. It is my belief, correctly or incorrectly, that by having an AI answer questions to which I already know the answer from long years of study, those who would otherwise be skeptical of my claims can have their skepticism alleviated somewhat. Granted, there are many people who have a personal bias against large language models and will reject anything written by one out of some moral pretense stemming from the perceived theft of information rather than considering what the information being presented is actually trying to say. I will make a video on this topic at a later date, but suffice it to say for now that if you refuse to listen to what is being said in my videos because the information is posed as an answer generated by ChatGPT, it isn't your principles that are causing you to reject the insights but rather your reticence toward new information that has the potential to disprove your worldview. If that is how you choose to live, that is your prerogative, and I will not make any effort to attempt to change your mind. This channel is for the curious and the innovative, people for whom new information is not a threat but a delight. Anyone is welcome, but I will not cater to those who lack imagination and breadth of perspective. In any event, this video is the conclusion to my 3-week-long series attempting to help bridge the gap between men and women. Our society in America, similarly to Japan and other nations around the world, has been afflicted with a dangerously low number of active long-term relationships. I have already asked ChatGPT to explain these reasons in depth in previous videos, so I will not do so here. But in short, and at risk of oversimplification, women do not trust men any longer, and men are exhausted with being portrayed as that which they are not and being treated poorly by women who may or may not actually intend harm in the first place. The issue as I see it is that men, being generally more self-sufficient than women by dint of the way they are brought up from childhood to be resilient, are perfectly willing to live their lives without love and companionship, leaving women to grow older and more bitter in their loneliness. This can only result in more unhappiness in everyone, which has the further effect of causing our culture to become more jaded and less empathetic, resulting in more acts of inhumanity. But because this crisis is not the result of the choices of men, it falls to women to learn, grow, and find their voices as the remedy. To this end, I have made this video to provide women with a means of bypassing their biases and preconceptions about what they do or do not want in a relationship, cutting straight to the heart of what drives their hearts and minds, and offering them a tool to enable them to find better relationships, both romantically and in terms of merely platonic relationships. So please continue listening and make an effort to put this video's message to use in your own life, whether you are a man or a woman. Let's get started. To help people find love and companionship, I have devised a new form of astrological matchmaking that I call Reverse-Synastry. To my knowledge, this method of matchmaking has never been mentioned in any previous publication, meaning it is solely and uniquely the invention of atheist astrologer, that's me, and Aquarian Rising. If you have information dating the method back before me, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. An astrological natal chart consists of several components: planets, signs, houses, and aspects. The planets represent psychological mechanisms, the signs indicate how those mechanisms are expressed, the houses show the areas of life where those mechanisms are expressed, and the aspects reveal how those mechanisms interact with one another within the personality. Understanding these elements is crucial for grasping astrological concepts. The tropical and sidereal zodiacs are two different systems used in astrology. The tropical zodiac is based on the seasons and is commonly used in Western astrology, while the sidereal zodiac is based on the actual constellations and is used in Vedic astrology. The sidereal zodiac is essential for accurate astrological work, whether in a Vedic or traditional Western system. The Fagan-Bradley method, named after Cyril Fagan and Donald A. Bradley, is a specific calculation method within sidereal astrology. It takes into account the precession of the equinoxes and aligns the zodiac with the fixed stars, providing a more precise astrological framework. In normal synastry, two natal charts are compared to measure the compatibility of the psychological components of two known individuals. In reverse synastry, you're attempting to locate a birthdate for an as yet unknown partner for a known person or client. This method can be used in a more traditional situation where an astrologer can work one-on-one with a client, but it can also be used as search criteria for a mobile device app to create an extremely effective method of matchmaking. This removes the normal randomness associated with dating apps to produce curated lists of the highest possible compatibility members for a person to select from and contact. While an astrology dating app could certainly be made using this method, it may be more palatable and therefore more accessible if the calculations for this method are done in the background of the app without the astrological intentions being made known to the user. Even the request for private birth details, date, time, and location, could be reasonably and legitimately explained as a security and identification method. Perhaps a copy of one's birth record and identification card could be requested at user sign-up as a means of not only verifying user identity for security purposes but also of ensuring accurate natal data for the background astrological calculations. An app specifically targeting astrological enthusiasts could also be made, but as a consequence of general skepticism, its reach would be extremely limited. This would render the size of the user pool and therefore the overall effectiveness of the app very limited. The method is relatively straightforward. While each major astrological planet and the psychological mechanism it represents provides its own unique insight into the relational compatibility of a person, by beginning with the planets Venus and Mars, the planets often associated with attraction in the human psyche, the manual discovery of a reverse-synastry potential partner is made much simpler. Greater overall compatibility will not exclusively feature these two planets. Indeed, these two may not feature prominent synastry at all, placing greater emphasis on other planetary synastry. Also, if the calculation process is able to be automated by software, then this starting point is rendered moot as all synastry points can be calculated simultaneously. But for the purpose of manual calculation, we'll assume Venus and Mars to be the starting point. Begin by taking note of the sign and degree of both planets in the known person's chart. Then, beginning with Venus and then doing the same for Mars, determine the most compatible placements for the opposite of the two, meaning you're looking for a compatible Mars for Venus and a compatible Venus for Mars. To do this manually, you must use an ephemeris chart such as the ephemeris generator available at astro.com in one of its submenus. You will need to be sure to select the option that calculates the ephemeris as a sidereal ephemeris. You're looking for aspects including conjunction, trine, sextile, and semisextile. For example, if the known person's chart has Venus at 22 degrees in Leo, you're looking for Mars in Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Gemini, or Libra at 22 degrees, but not Aquarius because that would be an opposition. While oppositions are not inherently negative, they will typically indicate a relationship that is far too unstable to warrant building a relationship on. Still, you may choose to include opposition aspects in certain circumstances where warranted, since some people are more comfortable with and drawn to conflict in their relationships than most. It's rare, but some people find a more combative relationship to be cathartic. Once you've found a compatible Mars and Venus in the unknown person's chart, you can begin comparing other planets in the synastry to determine the overall relationship compatibility between the two charts. Note that because you do not have the location or time of birth of the unknown person, you cannot fully determine the compatibility of the two people until you find specific people born on the date discovered through this method. This means you would have to have several people already found who were born on the date discovered and then compare their charts with the client's to find the best match. To expedite this comparative process when performing the method manually, you can use a compatibility calculator like the one at astrotheme.com, link in the video description below, or another similar service. Please note that AstroTheme's compatibility calculator uses the tropical zodiac to make its calculations. Because of the roughly 24-degree difference between the illegitimate tropical zodiac and the legitimate sidereal zodiac, this means the calculations of AstroTheme's service will not be completely accurate 100% of the time. If anyone knows of a superior calculator that uses the sidereal zodiac, please reach out to me or leave a comment letting me know, and I will make sure you get credit for your contribution in an update video. Lastly, as a side note, in my years trying out various paid astrological interpretation services, I have come across several decent computer-generated interpretations. However, one stands above the rest. Astrocharts.com, link in the video description below, is not sponsoring me or this video or channel at all, and I owe them no advertisement for anything. But as a matter of public service, I believe it is worth mentioning their computer-generated natal chart interpretation service. Each interpretation costs only $25, is delivered instantly via email, and is both clearly laid out and expertly detailed. It still doesn't beat a skilled astrologer since their software lacks the ability to synthesize interpretations between multiple planetary combinations, but having a computer-generated interpretation like these can give you proof of concept if you're still on the fence about astrology or you'd just like to have something to show off to friends and family who are astrology skeptics. It's particularly amusing to see the confusion in the expressions of people who think astrology is just what you find in the back of a newspaper when you hand them a detailed report such as these and tell them there's more to astrology than what they think. Before placing any order you decide to make, be absolutely certain to look for and select the sidereal astrology option. This is very important since the system used will ultimately affect the accuracy of the interpretations. And there we have it. Unless you're so plagued by doubt and skepticism that you cannot imagine anything you don't understand actually having any benefit in your life, you would be well advised to give Reverse-Synastry a try. You can organize with peers over social media to help locate persons born on the dates you come up with for yourselves. A good rule of thumb is to look for a compatibility score of around 75 or higher when using a compatibility service for manually calculating Reverse-Synastry for yourself. Not all such services use the same method of scoring, so use your best judgment when sifting through results or ask for help from someone whose judgment you trust. This method is not sex-dependent, so it can be used by either sex to find a partner of either sex. Just be aware that certain configurations within an individual's natal chart can heavily imply a willingness toward or aversion to same-sex relationships, so it pays to get an in-depth interpretation of a potential partner's chart before attempting to seek out a partner based on their birth data found through Reverse-Synastry. Also, you must make an effort not to get too attached to the idea of someone before you've even met them. They may be in a pre-existing relationship, or there may be other reasons that an individual whose birth date you've found via this method may be unable or unwilling to be with you. If you strike out with the result you've found, you can always recalculate and search for a partner using a new birth date. Thank you so much for sticking through to the end of the video. I know it was a long one, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with astrological concepts, it was likely particularly difficult to follow. I plan on making some additional videos explaining the fundamentals of astrology later on down the road, so stay tuned. I genuinely hope you can find a worthwhile and engaging relationship using my Reverse-Synastry method. The less love we feel from those in our lives, the more it affects our mental health and our attitudes toward others. A person in a happy and secure relationship just feels better about everything, and that happiness can and does impact others as they go throughout their day. Great relationships make us stronger and more resilient, so it's a serious shame that our nation has been afflicted in this way. But I'm trying to do my part, my fellow Aquarians. I can only trust that you will each do what you can as well. There's a better tomorrow for all of us if we can just muster the courage and the drive to reach it. Have a phenomenal day.
Thank you so much for watching. Any corrections or additional insights I may have to add can be read in the video's description. Your likes, subscriptions, sharing and thoughts in the comment section can go a long way to helping my channel and my message of a better future reach more minds. I upload new videos every Saturday, so please check back each week. And remember, we always have a choice and we can choose to make better choices. Thanks again, and let's rise together into this new age.